So, in the news recently, it was announced that James Gunn was changing the title of his new Superman film from Superman Legacy to just Superman. And then it reminded me of a Variety article that I read in January regarding the looming expiration of Superman and Batman copyrights for DC. And then it made me wonder what possibilities that could open up in terms of copyright. So I thought I'd make a video about it. Before I begin, I just want to do a really friendly reminder to please like and subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers to make video making worthwhile, so if you found anything interesting, please like and subscribe because it would help me out enormously. Thank you very much. Now, this video is not going to summarize the whole article. I encourage you to check it out. Anyway, I want to draw your attention to these facts: that Superman and Lois Lane will enter the public domain in 2034, followed by Batman in 2035, the Joker in 2036, and Wonder Woman in 2037. There's only certain elements that are going to remain protected. So, for example, you will get Batman, but you won't get Robin straight away. Okay, you'll get Superman, but not Kryptonite. And those characteristics are going to fall into the public domain one by one, according to Amanda Schreier. So I recommend you read the rest of the article. But the point is, the over kind of concepts of Batman and Superman will fall into public domain. And I believe that could really be an interesting moment for filmmakers and audiences. So I thought before we dive into the DC issue, just to recap the pros and cons of copyright currently. So copyright is an incentive for creativity. Copyright protection provides creators with the incentive to invest time, effort, resources in the creation of original works, knowing they can control the use and distribution of their creations. Another pro is financial reward. Copyright allows creators to monetize their works by granting them exclusive rights to reproduce, distribute, and publicly display or perform their creations. This helps creators earn a living from their intellectual property. Cultural preservation. Copyright ensures that preservation and dissemination of cultural works by allowing creators to control how their creations are used and preventing unauthorized exploitation that may diminish the cultural or artistic value of the work. Now, in terms of cons, limited access. Copyright restrictions can limit public access to creative works, hindering the free flow of information and potentially impeding educational and research activities. It can be argued that it stifles creativity, that strict copyright enforcement may reduce creativity by limiting the ability of artists and creators to build upon or remix existing works, hindering the evolution of art and culture. Abuse and overreach. Copyright laws can be subject to abuse, with entities using copyright claims to stifle competition or silence criticism. Additionally, copyright laws may be overly broad or outdated, leading to legal disputes and challenges. Digital challenges. In the digital age, enforcing copyright can be challenging, leading to issues of piracy and unauthorized distribution, with some arguing that strict copyright measures may be counterproductive in the age of digital sharing. In the case of Superman and Batman, copyright law grants exclusive rights to the creators or their estates for a limited duration. So, when Batman or Superman's copyright eventually expires, these are going to be the main issues. Public domain access. Once in the public domain, anyone can use Superman or Batman's character and stories without seeking permission or paying royalties. This may lead to a flood of derivative works, interpretations, and adaptations by various creators, both amateur and professional. So, for example, if someone done a really terrible version using Superman, that could potentially damage the brand. But I disagree. I think audiences are sophisticated enough to kind of accept and reject, poor or excellent versions of characters that they love. Competing versions. With the absence of exclusive rights, multiple versions and interpretations of Superman or Batman might emerge. Different creators could develop their own storylines, altering key aspects of the character, which might create confusion and dilute the iconic nature of Superman. Licensing challenges. The expiration of copyright might impact the licensing revenue generated by Superman or Batman-related merchandise, films and other products. Companies that previously paid licensing fees to use the character may no longer be required to do so, affecting the financial interests of the original creators or their estates also. I sympathise with the Siegel estate and Kane as well, because obviously Batman and Superman are their original creation. So as an author and filmmaker myself, I do sympathise with aspects of that. Legacy control. The original creators' families or estates might lose control over how Superman is portrayed and used. Their loss of control could be emotionally and financially significant, especially if the character is used in ways that the original creators or their heirs find objectionable. So yes, you could potentially turn Batman into a murdering maniac, but arguably that's what Zack Snyder was doing with Batman in Batman vs Superman anyway. Legal battles. Disputes might arise over the validity and scope of the copyright expiration. Challenges could come from individuals or entities claiming rights belong to the character through various legal arguments, potentially leading to protracted legal battles. Obviously legal battles no one wants. And it's worth noting that the copyright status of Batman and Superman are subject to change based on legal developments, legislation or agreements between copyright holders and the relevant parties. Overall, yes, there will be an exploration of the Superman character, but certain elements like kryptonite, other aspects were all introduced later that still have copyright periods attached to them. So it won't be a sudden change, but it will be a gradual erosion of the intellectual property that we currently understand it to be. Now, copyright infringement and rip-offs are nothing new. I think we've all seen iterations over the year that are mostly laughable, but I'm going to sound a controversial opinion here that when Batman and Superman's, I guess, most recognizable characteristics are within the public domain, I actually believe that it could empower fans, because clearly the studios that have failed spectacularly to keep the quality of the superhero film franchises going, the fans who often have grown up with these characters and are very passionate about them and know all about the lore behind them, I actually think it could empower them to actually do some really interesting work. And there is already some evidence for this. So on YouTube, there's some quite interesting fan films actually made for both characters, but particularly Batman. There's a really great fan film called Batman Dying is Easy, made by Bat and the Sun. It's completely unofficial and clearly infringes on Batman copyright, yet it still seems to be online and was actually funded through an Indiegogo project. And this kind of shows the sort of commitment and passion that fans can have. There's also a horror film directed by James Gunn called Brightburn that basically is entirely about what if Superman landed on Earth as a child, grew up, but then that was actually evil. And it has, the red cape, it has the burning red eyes, it has flying, it has these spectacular sort of scenes of strength and violence. And really, it's about as close as you can get to Superman without actually being sued, I think. So that's a successful, interpretation of the Superman myth in kind of a different genre. And maybe that could be the way forward. Maybe when these copyrights expire, maybe, putting Batman in a horror context, make his character do things that perhaps would be considered, heretical or non-canon, but maybe interpret and play with that character in different ways. And I honestly believe that the studios fundamentally have misunderstood a lot of how fans perceive characters, so now it's their chance to actually create for themselves. Another case in point is the gameplay demo for I Am Batman by Osmani Gomez. This was released back in 2021 and it was quickly pulled down by Warner Brothers, which is a real shame. But if you look at it online, it is absolutely incredible in terms of the detail and rendering that it's taken, with basically recreating the 1989 Tim Burton film, but in gameplay form. Now, I appreciate behind the scenes there might be all sorts of legalities as to why they could never do a faithful recreation of that film, possibly, but certainly from a fan perspective, it's what fans want to see. So this got so much praise, and honestly, if this was a real game, I would definitely 100% pay for it and play it, because that's what I would like to play. And this is the thing, that fans actually often understand what fans want. So if they delivered a game based on this, and the IP was fine for them to use because it was no longer under copyright protection, they could make a whole load of money from it. And then maybe, perhaps, I don't know, maybe they could work out an arrangement with Warner Brothers if that's the version of their Batman that they've used, but some elements are within or without copyright, and maybe they could actually have sort of a version of Batman that basically fans still enjoy watching and still manages to make a profit. I'm sure there's some way they can do this, but this is yet another example of when fans take control, they can actually do a good, if not better, job than what the studio execs are thinking of. So, is it all going to be doom and gloom when the copyrights expire? I think for filmmakers, no. I think it could empower them to make some interesting stories. I actually think it could be exciting for audiences too, so I guess watch this space. But anyway, enough from me. I want to hear what you think. What do you think will happen when the copyright runs out? Are you excited? Are you terrified? Please comment below. Thank you.